field of economics has many different facets, but is ultimately unified by 10 central ideas. The 10 principles of economics offer an overview of what economics is all about. These principles are grouped into 3 general sections: how people make decisions, how the economy works as a whole, and how people interact. 1. People face trade-offs. In society, people make several decisions every day. Each decision has both positive and negative repercussions. In order to get something desirable, people have to give something else up in the process. Because there are scarce resources, people have to make decisions based off of these trade-offs. For example, if you spend money on dinner and a movie, you won't be able to spend it on new clothes. This money will go towards something desirable, the dinner and the movie, but there will be less money to spend on new clothes, which are also desirable. People face trade-offs with their money, time, and other things every day. 2. The cost of something is what you give up to get it. Since people face trade-offs every day, they have to make the most logical decisions based off of what they are giving up. There are benefits and disadvantages to every decision, and because of this, people have to weigh their options based off of the cost. For example, when a student attends college, he or she should be aware of the opportunity cost of every action. In college, students give up a great deal of time and money in order to enrich themselves intellectually. For Kobe Bryant, the cost of attending college would be stalling and potentially giving up his professional basketball career. In this case, there is a great cost, so Kobe Bryant chose to enter right into the NBA. 3. Rational people think at the margin. When rational people make decisions, they think about the next additional step. We know there are benefits and drawbacks with every choice, so rational people think of these possible results when making decisions. For example, when someone is gardening, he or she should think of the probable crop yield in correlation with the time spent working on the garden. So, if someone gardens for an extra hour, he or she would yield 12 tomatoes. This person would give up an hour of his or her time and would cultivate 12 more tomatoes in the process. This decision is made at the margin because it is focused on the outcome of a situation or the additional cost and gain. 4. People respond to incentives. An incentive is something that influences a person to act. Because rational people weigh marginal costs and benefits of different activities, they will also respond when these costs or benefits change. Incentives can be both beneficial and detrimental, depending on how they cause a person to act. For example, an incentive of a Beachbody causes many to work out and eat well. The desired outcome of a Beachbody is the incentive for people to positively change their lifestyles. On the other hand, incentives can cause people to cheat and become very corrupt. As we read in the book Freakonomics, incentives can cause people to change their actions and resort to cheating because the desired outcome would benefit them greatly. In the case of Freakonomics, the introduction of high-stakes testing caused teachers to feel immensely responsible for the good test scores of their students, and therefore change some of their answers. The teachers whose students performed the worst would be denied a raise, and the schools would be put on probation or shut down. Because of this, there was a tremendous incentive for the teachers to deliver good test scores in order to prevent this from happening. In this case, incentives cause teachers to cheat, but in other cases, like with the Beachbody, incentives can be beneficial. 5. Trade can make everyone better off. When a country specializes in one thing, it gives them a comparative advantage in producing and manufacturing that product. Trade allows each country to specialize in what they do best, and trade this output for the output of other efficient producers. When two countries trade with each other, they are both better off because they specialize in one thing, with a lower opportunity cost, and gain more goods in the process. With trade, both sides benefit because it allows for more consumption for everyone. For example, when America and Japan trade with each other, they each specialize in one thing in order to make everyone better off. When America produces solely cars, there is a lower opportunity cost, which gives them the comparative advantage. When Japan produces solely computers, there is the same effect. Because of this, their production is more effective, and both countries are able to benefit with both cars and computers when America and Japan trade. 6. Markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. Because households and firms look at prices when deciding what to buy and sell, prices guide these individual decision makers to reach outcomes that, in many cases, promote general economic well-being by allocating resources efficiently. These decisions are guided by self-interest and determine the prices and quantities in a market. For example, secondary education is categorized as a market. In areas where there is a higher value placed on education, more time, money, and resources are funneled into the school district. Because of this, school districts where people value education are cleaner and filled with better resources to improve the learning environment. The people of the school district determine the value of education, and because of this, there is a positive effect on the school itself. In areas where people place less of a value on education, the school districts tend to be less technologically advanced and beneficial to the students' education. In these two cases, the members of the community dictate the price of education and how much money should go into the school district. Because of this, secondary education is a market dictated by the people. 7. Governments can sometimes improve market outcomes. Market economies usually do not consider the impact of their activities. For example, a dry cleaning factory. It can cause water pollution when they dispose of used chemicals. Government has a task of regulating, auditing, and monitoring the activities of the market. Thus, they can introduce regulating policies to protect the environment. 8. A country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce goods and services. In nations where workers can produce a large quantity of goods and services per unit of time, most people enjoy a high standard of living. In nations where workers are less productive, most people must endure a more meager existence. People in countries with the lowest average incomes earn only about 1/20th as much as people in high-income countries. The average life expectancy is 4/5 that of the average person in an advanced country. Birth rates are high, particularly for the families where women receive no education, but mortality rates are also much higher there than in countries with good healthcare systems. A typical works with but 1/60th the horsepower of a prosperous industrialized worker. The people in the 40 poorest countries constitute 55% of the world population, but must divide among each other only 4% of the world income. Think about the Democratic Republic of Congo or Liberia. They are pretty reliant on foreign aid, and would you imagine them as a goods and services producing country? Not when compared to the US or other wealthy countries from which many exports are made. 9. Prices rise when the government prints too much money. Inflation is defined as an increase in the overall price levels in an economy. Excessive and persistent inflation is caused by rapid growth in the quantity of money. When an average price increases consistently for a long period of time in the economy, it causes an inflationary condition. Average price increases in the economy are mainly affected by growth in the quantity of money in the long-run situation. Therefore, inflation is associated with rapid growth in the quantity of money in the long-run circumstances. For example, if the government prints money, notes and coins, and puts them in circulation, price levels rise of the same amount of goods and services. 10. Society faces a short-run trade-off between inflation and unemployment. The trade-off between inflation and unemployment is called the Phillips curve, which shows the relationship between unemployment and inflation in an economy. The trade-off arises because in the short run, prices respond to the quantity of money changes very slowly. Suppose, for example, that the government reduces the quantity of money in the economy. All prices will not be reduced immediately as a result of this change for many reasons. It may take several years before all firms issue new catalogs or all unions make wage concessions. That is, prices are said to be sticky in the short run. On the other hand, when the government reduces the quantity of money in the economy, it reduces the amount that people spend. Lower spending, together with prices that are stuck too high, reduce the quantity of goods and services that firms sell. Lower sales, in turn, cause firms to lay off workers. Thus, the reduction in the quantity of money raises unemployment in the short run until prices have fully adjusted to the change.